dark brown hair who is covered in scars. He looks as if he has been living here all alone. He sprints in an attempt to escape as the men try to capture him. "Throw it now," one of them says, as they throw a net over as final attempt to capture him. Through the window, the light of morning filters in. The bright light streaming into the room has woken the sleepy little one. He has no idea what he's doing in this unfamiliar room. Outside, the sky was blue, the building was surrounded by a huge meadow, and the sign read Child Protection Zone. The child who had lived under an abandoned building found this place too strange as he walked around the building. The flat floor, the clean clothes, and the food that came out on schedule, everything was new to him. The child spent most of his time of this hill. The other children asked why he was alone all the time and asked him if he wants to play together. But the child was scared of the other children since he had never interacted with people before. Scared, he hissed and got on all fours like a feral cat to scare off the children. It worked, frightened the children run away in all different directions. Small butterflies flew above him. One landing on his head, he observed quietly. He rolled around in the grass, playing along with the butterflies, not caring in the world, enjoying his newfound freedom. A lady with red hair was observing him from the building. She appeared to be in a wheelchair. "Can't he speak?" she asked one of the workers in the facility. She responds with, "No." She further explains that he doesn't seem to have a disability and that he hasn't learned how to communicate with people. But he looks like he can understand the words or even comprehend them. The rescue team said that he probably grew up with animals and not around people. The lady with the red hair responds back with, "Like Mowgli." The worker confused, "Mowgli?" The lady with the red hair laughs and says that's understandable that the young folks have not heard of that name before. She says that's a story from before they were born. The bell rings and the children can be seen running towards the caretaker. The boy notices that the teacher appears to be calling out names and handing them letters. "What is that?" the child thought. He heard a voice from behind him. "That's a letter from the sponsors. Sometimes they send gifts like that," the girl said, looking at him. She asked the child if he had a sponsor. The girl explains that a sponsor is someone that takes care of you. While children are playing, one of them says adults are kind, the other kid says they're the exact opposite, that they're all bad. "Let's just say that half are kind and half bad," says that girl, finding a common middle ground. While eating supper, the girl explained that a kid named Matthew had gotten a huge toy from his sponsor last time, and he wouldn't stop bragging about it. It's rumored that it was gifted for hitting people on the head. While playing on the field, she says that Lily's sponsors bought her clothes ones with tons of frills. "It's too gross," she said. During class, she whispered, "Even Joe talked to his sponsor. It's really disgusting." "Me?" she says. "I don't need a sponsor, of course, because my mom promised to come get me. She promised to come and get her after she spends just 100 nights here." The girl with confidence says that 100 nights will pass in a blink of an eye. "I hope she comes soon," with a little sadness in her tone. The boy calmly listens to what she had to say. Sitting underneath the table, their secret hideout space. He looked out of the window. He blinked. He thought to himself that it felt like the stars were passing by quickly. The next morning, the teacher holding a cut-out of an alien explains that these creatures had come down to Earth from the far reaches of space, and that's how humans and aliens became friends. A kid with huge glasses says, "That's a lie," as the children all play in the playground. "Why would the teacher lie?" says another kid. "Obviously, they think we are babies and believe them," said the kid with the glasses as he pulled out a book bigger than him. The girl asks him, "Where'd you get that?" The boy replies confidently, "From the principal's office." He points towards the book. A long time ago, the aliens had surrendered. The children ask him why they ate it. He replies, "Hungry." The bell rings and the teacher is calling out names one by one. "Maury." The child looks up as a letter is handed to him. "You have a sponsor now. Aren't you happy?" The sound of toys falling down grabs Mori's attention as he turns around to see Mori's friend in tears. At their secret, Mori pulls out the flower and brings it closer toward his nose. He takes a huge whiff of the flower. Mori's eyes widen as the delicate blooms foster the feeling of lightness and carefree spirit. Slowly, the babe drifts into a peaceful slumber. Each day, a bell rings and a teacher calls out for Mori to give him a letter or a gift provided by his sponsor. Kids start envying Mori as he always receives expensive gifts from his sponsor. The kids gather around, one kid pointing out that she has never seen these many colored crayons before, and the other kid telling that the doll is a talking doll. The girl notices that all the letters have simple words on them, written in a messy handwriting. The kids start to question the intention of the sponsor. Why are they being so nice? Maybe they have some ulterior motives. Adults are nice when they feel guilt about something.
With more than 13 crore members across India, I hire the right candidates faster with LinkedIn.
The girl stops Mori and explains that it's used to
LinkedIn.com/
Mori
नमस्कार
gives
दोस्तों,
stunned
कैसे हैं आप सब? मैं
expression.
आशा करता हूँ
The
बहुत सारे
weather was
ऐसे
warm and
व्यूअर्स हैं
pleasant.
जब वो
The children asked to help out with the laundry. Eagerly rolled up their pants and started washing
सिलेक्ट
clothes.
करना है
Some
और यहाँ
being
पर आपको
amused that
एनकोडर
their
वाला
toes getting
ऑप्शन
wrinkly
दिखाई
in
देगा.
water. The girl, unamused by their discovery, asked, "What's so amazing about that?" Mori noticed that bubbles were forming from washing the clothes. He had never seen something so round and pretty before. Unable to contain his excitement, he dipped his hands in as well, splashing the water around. "Yeah, it's amazing, Mori, but if you step so hard it will splash," she said. Suddenly they hear a voice calling from a distance, "Dina." The kids turned, a woman waving at them. "Rodina," she called out once again. The girl with the biggest smile on her face ran in such a hurry that the bucket of clothes tumbled over. Rodina extends her arms and the woman pulls her in for a big warm hug. Tears of happiness dripped down her cheeks. It was Rodina's mom. She was back to take her home. The children witnessed the scene from a distance. Mori stands still with eyes wide open, his hair dancing in the breeze as the warm afternoon wind hits. Rodina says her goodbyes to Mori, telling him not to eat too fast. She hands Mori a pair of shoes and bag as a farewell gift. She gets emotional and hugs Mori. "You must be happy," she says. Mori hugs her back as her words make him happy. They share a tender moment before she leaves. Rodina waves everyone goodbye, leaves with her mother. Once again, the child sits on the hill. Though the absence of a friend left a big hole, he wasn't lonely, because the letters and gifts someone sent were by his side. He takes out a letter stuffed in his pants. It read, "My dear round one." The cloak was as soft as warm sunlight. The colorful crayons and the talking doll were so much fun, and the kind of letter smelled of fragrant wildflowers. As he smells the letters and stares at the flower, the conversations between his friends about the identity of his sponsor play in his head. His eyes widen as the child thought, could this person be my mom? The child packs things in the bag his friend gave him, saying goodbye to the orphanage in the distance, just like Rodina did. He took 1 step, 2 steps, and set off on an unknown path to meet his mom. The child woke up from his slumber. The train he had boarded without thinking was already taking him on a long journey to meet his mother. Mori got off and waved the train goodbye. Through his curious round eyes, he saw an endless sea of golden waves surrounding him. He began his journey. He took a few steps when he noticed that the ground started to tremble beneath his feet, and the scattered stones jittered. In the distance, something was approaching in his direction. They were riders on motorcycles, their weapons glinting menacingly under the harsh sun as they charged straight toward him. Mori's chest tightened with terror, and he stumbled backward before breaking into a desperate sprint. The riders closed in, their engines roaring. In moments, they surrounded him, their circle formation trapping him inside. Unbeknownst to them, a figure loomed on the hilltop, silently observing the chaos below. Perched on a sleek motorcycle, he sat motionless, a man with crimson skin and long white hair. The riders dismounted their motorcycles as they stared at Mori with confusion. "Is that even a human?" one of them asked, narrowing his eyes skeptically. "If it is," another chimed in, "why is it so small?" Their voices grew louder as they speculated. Some leaned closer to inspect him, while Mori stood there frozen. One of the riders tilted his head. "Think we could sell it?" he sneered, stepping closer. "Or maybe we just eat it," he suggested, his tone disturbingly casual. "No one would even notice it's gone." Slam! The ground shook as a massive creature with curved, menacing horns landed behind them, its towering form casting a shadow over the riders. "Who said you could touch it as you please?" the creature growled, its voice deep and guttural. It grabbed one of the guys by the face, its massive palm easily engulfing the man's head. "A thing so small wouldn't even reach my liver." The creature caught sight of something on Mori, something faintly familiar, but before it could make sense of it, bang! One of the riders collapsed. In the distance, the man with crimson skin and white hair appeared again, speeding toward them on his motorcycle. The glint of mounted weapons shimmered in the sunlight, and the roar of his engine cut through the frantic shouts. The horned creature sneered, its e-voice booming. "It's just a rider! Don't panic. It's just one of them." The men started to attack back. He maneuvered through the shot taken at him. The creature charged at Ryder. Boom! The collision sent a shockwave rippling through the air. Ryder was quick. Too quick. In a split-second move, he leapt off his bike, vaulting over the creature. While airborne, he took aim and fired. Mori shielded his face as dust and debris exploded outward. The rider skidded back to the ground with a flawless landing. The impact of the shot left a gaping crater in the earth. "How dare you," he growled, "trespass in my territory." His piercing crimson eyes shifted, locking onto Mori. The boy standing amidst the chaos froze as the rider's imposing figure loomed over him. "And what is this now?" the rider muttered, his voice tinged with curiosity. Mori clenched his fist and took a shaky stance, his face twisting into an expression of anger. Rider mumbled, "AIA." Beside him, a small floating robot began to scan Mori. After a brief pause, the robot's metallic voice cutting through the silence. "It's a human infant." He remains silent for a moment, his intense gaze piercing through Mori. Busting out into laughter, he says, "Hi there, little one." Mori was stunned with a blank expression. "You must be scared," he said softly, as he introduces Aya, the robot. He asks if Mori was lost. "This rider will take you home," he says, smiling. Mori looked up, a mix of hope and amusement in his eyes. "It might be tender, but there's too little meat. We'd only get about 300. Still, it's not bad money. Should we sell it to the caves alive? Some crazy folks might want it as a toy. For something so scruffy, its clothes look pretty nice. If we put it up for auction," he thinks as he notices something on Mori's cape. As he takes a closer look, his expression shifted as a cold shiver ran down his spine, his instincts suddenly on edge. He quickly makes excuses that he is late, and that Mori could find his way home without waiting for an answer. He swiftly mounted his bike, and in a flash, he zoomed off. Ryder looks back as he realizes that he almost ruined his life by getting involved with Mori. It was something about the symbol of his cape. "This is what's called chickening out," Aya says on Ryder. "That scare dried out my throat," he said as a bottle of water was handed to him. Drank some water but paused, blinking in surprise. It was Mori who handed him the water. Boy sat there, quiet and unbothered, his eyes watching Ryder. The rider's confusion erupted into a shout. "What the? When? How did you get on?" His eyes widened in disbelief. "Get off!" he snapped, trying to regain control. Before he could react, the bike wobbled, losing balance, and they were thrown into the air, tumbling through the dust and chaos. Ryder regained consciousness. Blinking in confusion, he looked around, only to find himself surrounded by scattered letters and a small doll. Out of the corner of his eye, the rider caught Mori staring at him. Aya explained that Mori had used the letters and doll to keep him warm. Mori quickly ran to get water for the rider, but as he rushed back, he tripped, spilling the entire bottle over him. Mori gasped in shock as the water drenched Ryder. Frantically searching for something, Ryder with a sharp realization, "It's you," as he notices the same symbol on the letters. That symbol, no doubt about it. Patch! The beginning and the end of the universe. Only the owner of the patch and those he permits can use this symbol. For the others to carelessly threaten them is like hastening their end to tomorrow. But Ryder thought, for a human who seems somewhat lacking, a symbol engraved on most of the items. Expensive paper with a month's food budget. If they safely delivered the child, they could surely claim a reward. With the bike uncharged, they began walking. "You know, kid, I'm your lifesaver," he said with a grin. "This is me, doing a good deed, helping the helpless. Aren't you lucky?" The rider stopped mid-babble, annoyed that Mori wasn't listening. Storming over, he froze in disbelief when he noticed Mori was munching on an insect. Shrieking like he'd seen a ghost, the rider grabbed Mori's face. "Spit it out!" he yelled, shaking him in a panic. Ground, staring up at the sky and rethinking every life choice that led him here. Mori was scribbling on a piece of paper. Curious, Ryder crawled over, watching as Mori proudly held up his drawing. Mori tried to passionately explain, but Ryder was completely lost. Ryder noticed the name Mori engraved into his crayon case. His eyes then fell on a poorly drawn picture of himself and Mori. "Who's that?" he asked. Mori pointed back at him, his eyes wide in shock, and stared at the drawing for a long time. It was the first time someone had drawn him. "You seem to be in a good mood," the robot teased Ryder as he denied it. The robot had a chat with Mori as Ryder couldn't help but give a small, amused smile. Lying on the ground, exchanging words, as the stars above slowly took over the sky morning, they were back on their way, but once again Mori got distracted. His eyes widened in shock as he saw Mori, completely unfazed, interacting with a desert creature. Flames erupted violently, engulfing Mori in a blazing inferno. Ryder's voice cracked with urgency as he fired frantically at the desert creature, its monstrous silhouette looming amid the chaos. Without a second thought, he charged toward the fire, driven by sheer determination to save Mori. The flames soared skyward. Ryder despaired at the flickering flames. The child burned black, leaving no trace. But right at that moment, the cloak fluttered. It made the flames disappear one by one, just like a magical cloak. Just like that, the flames vanished into thin air, leaving behind only an eerie silence. Everyone stood frozen in disbelief. Even the desert creature that had unleashed the inferno appeared at a loss for words. "Are you okay?" Ryder asked, his voice laced with shock. Mori nodded. Relieved, Ryder stepped forward and placed a firm hand on Mori's shoulder. He glared at the creature, suddenly aimed a weapon at them. "Ryder," the robot calls him. The desert creature was protecting its baby, it explains to Ryder, but he replies back asking why the creature was playing victim after setting fire. Yelling, he continues, "Is your kid the only child here? This one's a child too, you idiot. He almost became Barbie, you know?" Once again, I urgently tried to grab Ryder's attention, her voice rising above the trembling earth. "Something's swimming below," she warned, as the ground shook violently. The moment of truth arrived as an enormous desert creature burst forth from depths, its colossal form towering over them, casting an ominous shadow. "Damn it, it's an adult," Ryder thought, panic and strategy battling for dominance in his mind. "First, I need to get Mori out of here." "It's coming!" I shouted, her tone sharp with urgency. Ryder clenched his fists, his gaze steadying as he prepared himself for the battle ahead. To their astonishment, the towering creature leaned down, delivering a firm knock to the smaller desert creature's head. With a deep, rumbling growl, it pushed the smaller one's head forward in an apparent gesture of apology toward Mori. Ryder, caught off guard, hesitated before blurting out, "You! Don't think I'll let you off easy." The baby desert creature approaches Mori and hands him a shiny yellow crystal. Its bright gleam caught Mori's attention, and after a moment of thought, he dug into his bag, retrieving one of his cherished trinkets, a delicate feather. The exchange was made with mutual excitement. The young creature accepted the feather joyfully, chirping with happiness, and the two began to run around Ryder in playful circles. They bid their farewell as the baby creatures hopped onto their mother's back.